Rumors of Xbox Live Gold going free for Xbox One and Xbox Series X owners have been circulating heavy, but a recent statement from Microsoft might not be what you want to hear. Is this anti-consumer? And finally, the Nintendo Switch is, well, pretty much en fuego right now, crushing sales records, passing legacy systems, selling exorbitant amounts of software, and a lot more. Plus, I still don't have internet from the stupid tropical storm that came through here, so fun times, fun times. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So as of this past week, Sony has been getting a lot of flack for being a bit of an anti-consumer company in the eyes of some people, with things like, of course, the Avengers situation. The Avengers is coming out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, but if you want to play as Spider-Man, you have to get the PlayStation 4 version of the game, which some people feel is a bit anti-consumer. Then, of course, we have the whole controller situation. The DualShock 4 controller that, of course, came with your PlayStation 4 will not be utilized to play PlayStation 5 games on the PlayStation 5. Meaning that if you want to play multiplayer games with local friends, you will have to have two DualSense controllers, and a lot of people feel that this is very anti-consumer. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you of course have what Microsoft is doing, which is very pro-consumer. A lot of things like buy a game once and then you can play it on your Xbox One or your Xbox Series X. Of course, the fact that all of your Xbox One controllers will work on the Xbox Series X, and you don't have to upgrade your controller in order to play your Xbox Series X games. And one situation that was happening that people felt was going to be very pro-consumer was the rumor that Xbox Live Gold for Xbox One and Xbox Series X players was going to go free to play. Now, of course, Microsoft was the company that pretty much introduced a paywall for multiplayer online games by introducing Xbox Live way back on the original Xbox. So a lot of people felt like Microsoft was going to be moving away from that, and there was actually some proof that sort of showed that maybe they were going to. Xbox removed the 12-month subscription service from their online store, and they actually renamed Xbox Live to Xbox Online Service in their user agreement. So people thought, you know what, maybe they are getting rid of Xbox Live Gold's paywall so that everyone on the Xbox platforms can enjoy free online. But then a Microsoft employee sort of talked about this situation in an interview with The Verge and clarified what was going on. The update to the Xbox Online service in the Microsoft Services Agreement refers to the underlying Xbox service that features things like cross saves and friend requests. This language update is intended to distinguish that the underlying service and the paid Xbox Live Gold. There are no changes being made to the experience of the service or Xbox Live Gold. And then when asked about Xbox Live Gold going free, they said the following: "We have no plans to discontinue Xbox Live Gold at this time. It is an important part of gaming on Xbox today and will continue to be in the future." Now, this upcoming weekend, Microsoft did announce that Xbox Live Gold would be free for the weekend, so if for some reason you don't have Xbox Live and you want to play some games online, you can do that. But I do have to ask, isn't this a bit anti-consumer to have Xbox Live Gold still be a thing? All these people that are harking on what Sony is doing, shouldn't they be doing the same sort of thing with Microsoft? Now, personally, I don't have a problem with paying for online services for my video game consoles, but what Xbox is doing is kind of weird, considering the fact that, well, Xbox Live Gold is free on PC, so you're sort of pandering to the PC audience and not your core console audience. Why would something be free on PC, but you can't utilize that same free service on your Xbox system, which of course is what Xbox is known for? See, you can make an anti-consumer thing out of pretty much anything. At the end of the day, these companies are simply that. They are companies, they are businesses, they want your money. They are not your friend. So this whole anti-consumer movement to me is just very silly. At the end of the day, these companies want money, and I think this whole Xbox Live situation just pretty much proves that. If it was about the players and it was about pro-consumerism, well, it would be free on the Xbox like it is on the PC. But now we know that the Xbox Live Gold service isn't going away, at least anytime soon, so continue to pay for it. And finally, the Nintendo Switch. What can you really say about this system? Like, this thing is selling ridiculously well. Like, it is absolutely insane how games are selling on this. It is absolutely insane how hardware is selling on this. And we got some new updated information according to the Q1 2020 report coming to us from Nintendo that basically breaks down all of the business side of stuff, the system sales, the software sales, and these numbers are just absolutely crazy. Now, obviously, real world situations did have an impact on this because a lot of people were stuck at home, but I don't think anyone was anticipating these sort of system sales. So in the first quarter of 2020, the base Nintendo Switch sold 3.05 million systems. The Nintendo Switch Lite sold 2.62 million systems, putting it at about 5.7 million systems sold in the first quarter of 2020, and software totals were around the 50 million mark for this. So when you accumulate all of this together, the Nintendo Switch has sold 61.45 million systems to date thus far, making it outselling the NES. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself, RGT, you're not a smart guy, because the NES sold 61.91 million systems, and that is more than what is being reported for the Nintendo Switch thus far. However, there is a bit of a caveat with that, because this information is up until June 30th. Last time I checked, we are in the month of August. Now, simply taking Media Create sales, which of course documents system sales for the region of Japan, you could see that adding in those sales would put this over the NES, and that's not even accounting for the United States and other regions. So yes, as of August, the Nintendo Switch has outsold the NES worldwide, and the NES is of course one of the most popular systems of all time. Total software sales on the Nintendo Switch are over 400 million. 400 million. You might be saying to yourself, well, what games are selling on the Nintendo Switch? What are the big heavy hitters? Well, Animal Crossing is one of them, and I always said that Animal Crossing was a huge seller for Nintendo. When you look at previous Nintendo systems, like the GameCube, like the Nintendo Wii, like the 3DS, like the DS, Animal Crossing is always one of the best-selling games on the platform. Well, Animal Crossing came at the exact perfect time, because to date, as of June 30th, Animal Crossing has sold over 22 million copies worldwide. 22 million copies worldwide in just a few months for Animal Crossing New Horizons. Like, that is just absolute insanity. Just absolutely mind-blowing numbers for software sales from Nintendo. You know what? I understand why Nintendo isn't talking about any other 2020 games, because they have made so much money from Animal Crossing. It is absolutely ridiculous. Looking at other games that have been added to the 1 million sellers list, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition made the list, coming in at 1.32 million units sold, and Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics came in at 1.03 million units sold. So those two games are now in the million units sold thing. Of course, all the other big heavy hitters, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is at over 26 million, Smash Brothers is at 20 million, just absolutely insane numbers for Nintendo, surpassing the NES. Software is selling at an alarming rate, and it's just absolutely crazy to see. Now, beyond that, we did get some information about the rest of Nintendo's 2020, but there isn't a whole heck of a lot to sort of go on with this. Nintendo did have a graph for upcoming Nintendo Switch first-party games for 2020 and beyond, and as you could expect, well, it was kind of barren. There was a lot of TBA stuff on there. Games, of course, like Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4 were on the list, but they have a to-be-announced release window. Really, the only new addition was, of course, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which Nintendo announced yesterday. An enhanced version of Pikmin 3 is coming to the Nintendo Switch. There is, of course, all the DLC included in the game. There is new content added into the game as well. Pikmin 3 fans are probably very excited for this game, but really this is the only first-party game that we know about for the rest of 2020. Obviously, things like this will change. I'm sure Nintendo is working on other stuff, like that heavily rumored Super Mario 35th anniversary stuff, but as far as any sort of announcements during this event, of course, Nintendo did not announce anything new, just basically going over the stuff that we already knew. It was stated that Bravely Default 2 is still on target to be a 2020 game for the Nintendo Switch. Now, of course, this is a Nintendo Switch exclusive RPG. I think it'll be a pretty solid seller on the system. Maybe something that I won't play on day one, but I will pick it up eventually. And then Nintendo did say something about the rest of 2020 as far as what they're planning to bring to the table. They said that there is a robust variety of appealing titles from other software publishers still scheduled to be released this year, and Nintendo will be working to keep the platform active with both new titles and reinforcing sales of popular titles. So pretty much meaning that there's probably going to be DLC for games and things like that. We of course have been seeing that with things like Smash Brothers, Pokemon Sword and Shield. I am still expecting some Super Mario Odyssey DLC. Like, I feel like there's so much you could do with that game and add to that game, but maybe they are working on a sequel more so than DLC for that. But just absolutely staggering numbers for the Nintendo Switch. I really feel like this is going to be one of the best selling systems of all time. People had their doubts. I even had my doubts about the system's success after the failures of the Wii U, but it's clear to me that the Nintendo Switch is just in a lane of its own. Like, these software sales are absolutely crazy. When you look at things like PlayStation 4 software sales, it doesn't hold a candle to what the Nintendo Switch is doing in terms of first-party games. So there's absolutely crazy numbers. These numbers will continue to get crazy. Animal Crossing has already sold over 22 million units. The NES has now been defeated by the Nintendo Switch, and I mean, it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. And yes, I am not going to have internet for a couple days now, so I don't know how this is going to impact like the weekend coming up with things like the Spawncast and Class vs. Crass. I'm currently using my phone, tethering my phone to upload videos, but yeah, the tropical storm was pretty nasty in this area. A lot of people are without power, so I'm very lucky. I do have power, but this whole no internet thing definitely sucks a lot. So I probably will be quiet over the next few days, but hopefully it will come back up soon. Thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Like I said, let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.